What if the doctor treating you for diabetes had diabetes himself and reversed it? Dr. Don Bovell is a provider at Elite Medical of Ocala. A year ago, his hemoglobin A1C put him in pre-diabetes territory. Today, it's back to completely normal. In this video, he shares exactly what he did and what you can do too.
So why are we so concerned about diabetes? A high blood glucose tells us that something is not going on correctly in your body. Metabolically, your body is having difficulty processing carbohydrates. A normal blood glucose is normally 70 to 100 milligrams per deciliter. Anything above that is hyperglycemia. And there are ranges. If you have a fasting blood glucose that is 200, that is way too high, and that's almost always indicative of what we call diabetes. Diabetes does damage to your eyes. You can go blind. It does damage to your heart. You can get cardiomyopathy. It does damage to the small vessels going to your entire body. So you can get heart attacks and not even know that you're having it. You can get numbness and tingling in your legs. You can lose your toes. You can get kidney failure. Your entire body can shut down if you have a blood glucose that's too high. So we get really concerned when your blood glucose is just a little high, because if that's consistent, that can lead to worsening blood glucose levels that can lead to these problems. So I got to tell you a story. I'm actually diagnosed as stage 1 type 2 diabetes. About a year ago, I had what's called a hemoglobin A1C that was 5.8. Anything less than 5.7 is normal. 5.8 or higher is termed pre-diabetes. And I really don't like the term pre-anything. I don't like pre-hypertension. I don't like pre-diabetes. You either have it or you're not. I'm pretty binary when it comes to that. So I diagnosed myself with stage 1 type 2 diabetes, which is another way of calling it pre-diabetes. That hemoglobin A1C of 5.8 is consistent with a blood glucose level on average probably around the high 90s to 100 over 3 months. So sometimes my blood glucose will be higher, sometimes lower, but generally speaking, that's the average blood glucose. Now, is that blood glucose doing damage to my body? No, it isn't. In fact, research shows that if your average blood glucose can be generally less than 150, you're not really doing a lot of damage to your body, but as it creeps up, that's when you start to get that damage. It's especially concerning to me because my grandmother died at the age of 54 from complications of diabetes. So I never got to meet my grandmother. She died before I was born. My mother got diabetes at the age of probably her early 60s, and she had type 2 diabetes and had to be on medication for the rest of her life. She died about her early 80s. So I have a very strong predisposition to diabetes. It's in my genetics. 5.8 a year ago. Today I checked it, it was 4.6. So I made a remarkable improvement even though I have those genetics. And how do I do that? How do you do that? Well, you've got 5 fingers. I think there are 5 main points to reversing or putting your diabetes into remission. So let's talk a little bit about rest. Rest is very important in controlling what's called your cortisol levels. Cortisol is a fight or flight hormone along with epinephrine. So if you see a lion in the streets, you're going to get really excited and you're going to run. Or if you're really brave, you might fight the lion. But some of us are living like we're fighting a lion every day. And our cortisol levels are high, we're under stress, and we're not sleeping at night. Once you start sleeping, going to bed, maybe a few hours before midnight, waking up early in the day and get that consistent pattern where you're resting, that lowers your cortisol levels, and it also lowers your glucose levels. So getting rest is very important. The other thing is what I would call requisite nutrition. Everyone thinks they're a nutrition expert. There are people who go to school for years called registered dietitians, and we don't listen to them. But nutrition is very important. And if I could summarize it for people with diabetes, it would be 3 main things. High fiber. Fiber is only found in plant foods. So fiber nutrients that add bulk to your stool so you're not constipated. It also feeds the good bacteria in your gut. Plant foods are also high in what's called phytonutrients, which are natural plant vitamins that are anti-cancer. So high fiber is one of the key things in helping diabetes go into remission. Also eating adequate amounts of protein. Now we're all consuming a lot of protein, but high quality protein is the key, and it can either be plant-based or meat-derived, but getting enough protein, because protein actually makes you feel satisfied more than carbohydrates do. Carbohydrates are important, but again, you need to make sure you're eating high fiber foods. So one thing I learned about carbs, there are good carbs and there are bad carbs. How did I learn this in a very, very stark way? Is having a continuous glucose monitor. This monitor tells me my blood glucose all throughout the day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The other night I was working and I had a bag of Lay's potato chips. I hope this doesn't get cut and Lay's doesn't sue me. But my blood glucose went up to above 200 after eating a small bag of Lay's potato chips, which was about 230 calories. 200, a spike. Now, if I eat those same potatoes with lentils in a lentil and potato stew, which I cooked this week, my blood glucose will go up to about 130, and then in less than an hour, it's back down to normal. Going up that high is actually normal as long as your blood glucose returns to a normal range within 2 to 4 hours. But going up to 200 lets me know something is not right with that food that I'm eating. What is it about the potato chip that makes your blood glucose spike? Well, it's just pure carbs without any fiber. You took the potato skin away from it, you highly salted it, you made it a food that you can just eat, keep crunching and eating so your blood sugar spikes. It's much better to eat a baked potato than to eat the potato chip for your blood glucose. So you're talking about rest, requisite nutrition. And then the third thing, which I think is the most important, which I enjoy, is resistance training. Going to the gym or going outside and lifting something heavy 3 times a week. Doing squats, pushing, pulling, that's gonna maintain your muscle mass, and your muscle mass is a sink for glucose. In other words, it absorbs glucose. So the more muscle mass you have, the better you can handle blood glucose levels. The fourth thing is what I call running. It's a fourth R, but it could be running, jumping, sprinting, crawling, walking fast, doing something fast for a period of time and then doing it a little bit slower. That's called interval training, getting your heart rate elevated and then having it come back down to normal. That sort of interval training has been shown to be very effective in controlling blood glucose. And to me, the fifth and most important thing is what I call recovery. If you're stressed out every day, you need to recover every day. A lot of people say, hey, you know what? I'm going to work hard. I'm going to take a vacation once a year. That's going to be living a life that is stressful. So every day you have to do something that facilitates recovery, either resistance training, meditation, walking my dog, spending time with a loved one, spending time in prayer. These are things that can facilitate recovery. So I really intentionally practiced those 5 things for about a year, and my hemoglobin A1C went from stage 1 diabetes, 5.8 to 4.6, which is right smack dab normal. And I want to tell you that you can do the same thing. Health is a skill. All of us had it, or most of us had it once naturally. You can see a child running and you can see they're running with great form. And then we grow up and somehow we lose that skill. But most of us can regain it. And Elite Medical, we want to join you on your journey to health. We can be there right next to you, counseling you, walking with you, and coaching you to better health, to better sleep, to exercising, to good nutrition. And then if you need that additional help with medication, we're there for you as well, where we can test you and give you the appropriate medication so that you become the healthy person you were meant to be.